Order, order. Hello and welcome to Reporters Without Orders, a podcast where we talk about what made news, what didn't, and some things that absolutely shouldn't have. I'm your host, Akanksha Kumar, and joining me in the studio today, I have my colleague Tanishka, who has recently done a profile, a deep dive on a man once considered as a media mogul sometime in the 90s and 2000s and is now at the helm of business empire, founder and head of the Z Group, Subhash Chandra Goenka. Hi Tanishka, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. How does it feel to finally get this story off your back?
Dude, really, really good. Really relieving because it was supposed to go up 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. There has been a lot of back and forth and I've been on this for a while. So I mean, do read the story, guys, but I'm also happy to just close this chapter for a while now.
And I think there was this phase when you were just frenziedly reaching out for a response. And even during our edit meetings, you were like, can someone help me get a response?
Yeah.
So what was that like? Like, why wouldn't they respond to your
So
queries?
I think I first contacted Subhash Chandra for this particular story in February. Where he didn't respond first, and then he did respond. He agreed to have a conversation, and when I spoke to him on the phone, he was just like, I don't understand why you want to talk to me. Kyun karna hai? Kya ho? Like, he was just thrown off for some reason. But after I explained it to him, and I had just finished reading this autobiography that he wrote, which honestly, after reading that, I was really fascinated with this man, So I was also, I was like, I'm inspired by this, that. Please just give me 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your time. And he told me he'll talk to me in 1 or 2 months. And I don't know what that meant. And after that, he stopped picking up my calls and messages. And then when I finished the story finally, I think a month ago, I, sent him a few messages again. I sent him my detailed questionnaire. And I also emailed it to him. And he didn't respond. So we were like, okay, fine, we'll go ahead with the story. Because I did contact him many times. So it was all set to publish on one Saturday morning. And then Friday night, I think 12 hours before the piece was, due to go up. This was, I think, 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. Someone from his team reached out and said that we got your questions and we want to respond to them. So let's schedule a meeting 2 days from now with us, and then you can, go ahead and speak to Subhash also. And he was really eager to. He said that we want to have our site because my questions were specific about. It did hint at, the story is not just a positive story. And that was a Friday. And Monday, I was like, okay, guys, when do we do this call? And after that, they just completely ghosted me. I called them this was last week. I called them, I think, around 60 times that entire week and left messages after messages because I was also really keen to have their side, especially after they, expressed interest. But they just stopped responding. I hope it's okay that I'm talking about this here. But, I did my best. And then I did speak to Subhash again. Subhash is someone from his team again. And they told me he's gone to meditate for 3 days. He's in Vipassana. So he'll talk to me after that. But they didn't pick up my call after those 3 days also. So after a point, we were just like, okay, we've given them, a fair amount of time to respond. And I didn't want to just get his response so that we are safe and have his version, but also because I think it would have gotten so much more to the story, If I was dying to meet him, and if that wasn't possible, at least if he could speak to me or someone from his team would speak to me, because, in these sort of profiles, if I would have gotten to meet him or speak to him, not just in his answers, even in his silence, body language, there lies so many things that we can add to the story. I'm sure you know that with all the work that you have done. So I was really disappointed, but it's okay. I will meet Subhash Chandra Goenka one day.
Okay. So this story is behind the paywall and is only available to subscribers. So do consider subscribing to Newslaundry in order to access this piece and also doing your bit in order to support independent media. Since that's our mantra at Newslaundry, you have to pay to keep news free. And we'll begin with questions about the story itself, Tanishka. And there is one thing which I wanted you to explain, which is how the story begins. And it begins by describing him with an adjective, a very strong adjective. and the word used is egotist, that you can summarize him in this with this one particular word. And I think often every organization is a reflection of who is heading it. There is a certain trickle down effect at every level of hierarchy. And I think when Caravan had done a profile on Pranoy Roy, that piece too had been able to capture really well a certain elitist culture that was prevalent at NDTV. And it was quite relatable also, because at a very junior level, when I used to work at NDTV 10 years ago, I do remember Dr. Roy interviewing former IMF chief Christine Bernanke, I think, and the interview was at LSR. And as a passing remark, he told the guest that, most of our anchors are also from this college. Taking a cue from there, why do you think that there was no other word best to describe Subhash Chandra Goenka than egotist? And how does that explain the downfall of his empire?
So I only wrote the start of the story after I had finished reporting absolutely everything else. So this was not that I planned that, okay, this is the word I will use to describe him. I did not go into the story with that set notion. But after 3 months of reporting, of speaking to people around him, and of doing a lot of research, and because I couldn't meet him, I spent even more time watching all his interviews and also watching segments of his show where he would speak about motivation and he would give advice to young students. And there are a lot of episodes.
He had his own show also.
Yes, Dr. Subhash Chandra show. Yes, I think until 2 years ago that was
okay.
Still going on. And I also read his autobiography, which I would recommend, The Z Factor. It's actually really fun. I mean, he's very unabashed about everything, absolutely everything. Some things I'm surprised haven't gotten him into trouble, but his own accounts are also very revealing. So the sense that I got from all of this was that, of course, he's done a lot. He's definitely a good businessman. He's, visionary, but he is also someone who really, really thinks that, all the answers of everything in the universe lies in his own life experience, And this is not to take away from his life experiences, because he did work really hard to get here, and he did build a media empire and is arguably one of India's only media tycoons. And he did start his career with, I think, rupees 17 in his pockets. Was when he came to Delhi. So, of course, all that is there, but just the sense that you get, the way that it's a little...
So there was a point when he started suffering from what we call God complex.
Yeah, I think a little bit of that. It's the kind of adjectives they use to describe themselves. It's how they speak about themselves in third person. And it's just really, really putting yourself up on a pedestal, which is, I'm sure, okay to some level, but it's not masked at all. And you just really get that sense, that this man does think he is so and so. And it is, like you said, a reflection also of the organization and vice versa. And even in all the conversations I have had with his former colleagues and people close to him, you do get that sense, that while they all did respect him, they did... he is a personality to be reckoned with, He does have a lot of characteristics that are not light in any way. He's also an extremely impatient man, from what I've understood. And that is also something that has been one of the leading factors to his downfall, how he lost his empire over the last few years. Yeah.
And what role did diversification of business play as far as wreaking havoc on the financial side of his empire is concerned? Because it's quite interesting to note that it was actually the infrastructure side of his business, particularly the SL group. The moment there were news reports linking it to an alleged money laundering case, that is when it seems that everything was like just a pack of cards and it started falling down. So if you can help our viewers understand the role of SL Group and what really went wrong as far as the financial side of it is concerned.
Right. So the SL Group is the larger parent company. Over here, this was specifically SL Infrastructure, where he started. Like you said, he diversified into a number of industries over the years. You know, it wasn't just media and infrastructure. There was also packaging. There was tubes. There was satellites. He had his own version of IPL actually before the IPL. Also, I mean, he was a man who wanted to like try everything. You know, he wanted to put his dip his hands into everything going on, and that is also, I think I might be getting a little off topic here, but that is also something that really defines his rise and fall, especially because he craved a new challenge always, and this is by his own admission. This is not just my interpretation of him. And so he would crave a new challenge every time something would start going smoothly. And, you know, he would just invest here and invest there. And he would get, I think, bored if something would start going smoothly. And he, you know, it's also the sign
there was
of...
this ferocious sense of ambition and restlessness.
It is also a sign of maybe a
And
good
did he begin with the entertainment channel first and then went on to news channel? Or was Z News the first thing that he... No, because I'm just trying to figure it out that yes, I think Z first began by entering into the entertainment space sometime around the boom of cable television, and then it's like, or maybe they happened simultaneously, I'm not really sure.
And about SL Infrastructure especially, so like I said, he started expanding more and more, and infrastructure is also I think an appealing thing for a lot of people. You know, there are a lot of government contracts that are big and that are very ambitious, and someone like Subhash Chandra, who also had a lot of political connections and he used them also unabashedly, this was something that was appealing for him to get into. But the more he started expanding, his debts did start rising, and what he did was he pledged his stocks as collateral against the loans that were availed by the group companies, you know. So he kept doing that, and that is why in the end he just, you know, had to spend years just repaying all the loans that he took. And the infrastructure business also crashed by a number of factors that I think are really long to get into right now, but I would recommend that you guys do read the story, and this part is in the first half of the almost 5,000 word story, so you won't have to really go that far to get there. But yeah, I think expansions and impatience are key factors that led to his downfall.
And I think the meatier part of the story is when you delve into his political connections and how that has also seen a shift in sides, especially after 2014. And you have spoken to a former CEO and some senior people in the industry who have worked with him in editorial positions. So what really happened after 2014?
So as soon as Modi did come into power, Chandra famously said, as a couple of his colleagues told me, that we have equity in the government now. So I think on that note, we can just, maybe this is bait for our listeners and watchers to read the entire story, which is behind the paywall, but you must subscribe for good
Right.
stories.
So we will continue talking to Tanishka more about the political slant of Subhash Chandra, and also how at one point he has also used his media platform to further his own business interests. The video part of this podcast ends here. To listen to the complete podcast, log on to newslaundry.com.
The subscription model is something that keeps Newslaundry afloat, but we need hundreds of thousands of people to completely transform the news ecosystem. So you pay for news, so it serves you. So click on the link with this video, subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free, और गर्व से कहो, मेरे खर्च पर आजाद है खबरें.